Japanese Shintoism represents a unique case study for ethnomicrobiology. It is one of the few folk religions with deep roots in shamanism and animism that has survived into the modern era, largely unchanged from any colonization, modernization, or imperialism. You can read about these themes in any of their stories and beliefs, but the religion largely revolves around this idea of the kami. The kami are wild and dangerous supernatural forces that are capable of causing destruction and calamity, but who can be appeased through the human intercession of worship and ritual. Once mollified, the kami can protect communities by ensuring the crops grow and the seasons turn, and they can also be petitioned for individual desires around marriage, childbirth, protection from illness, and so on. While every culture has their own way of describing, viewing, and interacting with these forces, every folk culture describes something along the lines of contagion, germ theory, and terrain theory. That it is living entities that cause all disease, health and wellness, as well as protection and luck. A large part of religion and shamanism is finding ways to identify these through symbols, archetypes, behaviors, and motifs. In response to the diagnosis of these maladies is some combination of spiritual, emotional, and physical remedies. The Western philosophical tradition of body, mind, and soul is used to understand human nature, though the latter of which is rejected by modern science. In ancient times, there was no such division. This tripartite model is problematic as it pervades all fields of study in the modern world. The most damaging being that humans are at the top of this hierarchy of intelligence and consciousness. However, the more we understand the microbiome and the ideas of the holobiont as well as the interaction of ecologies, that notion becomes irrelevant. The folk and shamanic belief that these animistic spirits are ubiquitous in all things describes microbiology better than microbiology does, as it's not limited in the idea that microorganisms aren't intelligent and can't communicate and aren't a part of the greater experience of reality. Storytelling is one of the best ways that we can learn things, and the oral tradition of mythology and religion carries a lot of that microbial knowledge from generation to generation. Though we aren't limited in that medium, this show called Mushishi kind of illustrates Japanese folklore in this sort of microbial way. The main character is a folk healer that goes around solving supernatural problems caused by these entities called the Mushi. I want to share some passages from this book called Microbes and Other Shamanic Beings. It pretty much corroborates everything I've been saying, the focus being on Amerindian Shamanism. Since the earliest accounts, Amerindian shamanic notions have shared more in common with current microbial ecology than with Christian religious beliefs. The book is broken up into how shamans have described the beings with which they deal with in ways that correspond to contemporary understanding of microbes, that various human senses allow the unaided perception of the microbial world, such as entoptic vision, and third, that the theory that some diseases are produced by living agents acquired through contagion was proposed near after the encounter by a physician who translated and adapted Amerindian knowledge about syphilis. The interaction and experience of the microbial world is inherent to every part of life. Anthropology has often regarded microbes with the same critical disbelief awarded to the spirits described to ethnographers by animist hunters and shamans. Microbiology is generally assumed to be a science without precedence and a reality incommensurable with those from the past and with non-Western medical traditions such as shamanism. Yet we know from the sanctity and ritual around fermentation that every culture employed that they did have a working knowledge of microbiology. Again, they personified diseases as being these living agents that spread from one person to another, connecting various issues with your personality, behavior, as well as environment that can lead to these spirits, as well as coming up with ways we know now are antimicrobial to counteract them. So not only is there entoptic and shamanic microscopy that can be used to see into the microbial, but we also have one of our most complex sense organs, which is our olfactory organ, our smell. This literally brings in microscopic particles and microorganisms and feels them. The sense of smell in every single culture was used as a diagnostic tool for the spiritual health of a person or a place. It's also why perfume making and incense were handled. It was a responsibility of the religious in a community. But we see these themes not just in shamanism, but in fertility rituals as well. However, my degree monograph was a theoretical exploration of biosemiotics, suggesting that organisms and other biological systems develop processes of interpretation and in their own ways and for their own sake make sense of their world. I find it very hard to fathom how some people assume humans are the only beings with intentions, points of view, or emotions, the only beings to communicate, the only persons. Like I said, the book pretty much goes hand in hand with what I talk about on this channel. The world is very much alive, it's very much animated. And we're just a part of that process. We're not the only experience or the only agency within this entire world. There's trillions of microorganisms in and on us and around us, and we haven't even begun to explore the implications of that beyond just pure scientific study. And these microbes existed before humans ever did, and were certainly there in the earliest civilizations. While I've been going through every single culture, at least to get the broad idea, you can look at any folk belief, any mythology, any religion, and you'll see these themes. It's integral and inherent to the experience of reality, which is the interaction of these deities, these spirits, these ancestral animistic forces. Whatever the language, whatever the cultural context, they all provide unique and different ways of exploring and interacting with this microscopic world. Hope you guys found this interesting, and thanks for watching.